by voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, presented by Two Rivers Ford and Volunteer Traditions. Mike, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
We are good. I wanted to start just with the behind the scenes of the broadcast and what it was like for you personally, Mike, on Saturday before we dive into on the football field. How much fun was it? What was going through your head as you said into a microphone with Pantone 151C and a power tee on your chest? It's football time in Tennessee.
You know, I got to be honest. It was surreal. The whole thing, the whole experience was surreal. Getting a chance to sit on the front row of the Vol Network booth was crazy. And to be with Ramon and to be with Jason Swain and Brent Hubbs and Larry Stone and Brad Willis and Philip Noel and our entire team. And then, you know, to be with Heath Schuler and Brittany Tarwater in pregame and kind of just everything that went with what the day was about. It was surreal. It was really, really special. But more importantly, it was fun. And I hope that came across to the Vol Network listeners that we had a good time and that we're going to try to have a good time every single week. I mean, that's going to be the goal because this is what this is all about. We're going to do a good job and try to have as much information as possible. But I hope it, as I've always hoped with any broadcast I've been involved in, I hope it sounds like a bunch of people who are having an enjoyable time doing a broadcast like we're watching a game together, like we're all sitting around and enjoying it. And I thought our crew did a really great job with that. And I hope the audience got that out of what we were able to do.
Mike, it was terrific. It was so much fun. You could tell you guys were having fun. We talked about that. Ramon and I did earlier this morning. That was the biggest thing. You could tell you guys were having a blast. Was there a pinch me kind of moment? Did you take a step back in game at any point and kind of realize whoa, I'm really doing this? What was that balance like in game for you, Mike?
Yeah, when I realized the game was going on for 37 hours, that was it's like, oh, yeah, it's college football. Yeah.
Yes.
It was a long game. I got to tell you, man, my primary focus this week is getting in shape because, brother, I am out of shape. To answer your question, seriously, I don't think there was any one moment. Okay. I think it was really just the whole day and getting on the bus afterwards and realizing that, you know, we had done a broadcast on the Vol Radio Network it was just a great thrill overall. And to know all the outstanding stations like 104.5 The Zone who carry us throughout the state and knowing that list of stations and what Tennessee football means to so many people in our state and to have involvement in that it's just extra special. And it gives us a real sense of purpose to get back this week and try to do a better broadcast against East Tennessee State. I mean, we realize we have a lot of things to work on and been writing down a lot of notes and going over a lot of things, and hopefully we'll be better this week.
Mike, what does success look like on the field this weekend for Tennessee? The opportunity for more young guys to play, the opportunity to continue preparation for Georgia, but most importantly, to get to 2-0. What are you looking for from this team as they take the field in Neyland Stadium for the first time?
No, you hit most of the things that I think are really important. You obviously want to win the football game. You'd like to take care of your business early, get the starters out, not get anybody hurt, and then play everybody. Because you're going to dress everybody who's involved with your program who's healthy. And if you get them a chance to play, then you're going to go back to practice on Monday with everybody fired up to do a better job to get ready for Georgia. When guys get to play, they practice better. And that's just a fact. I mean, anybody who gets a chance to put on a jersey and get out there in front of mom and dad and brother and sister and aunt and uncle and grandma and grandpa and girlfriend. I mean, it's a big deal. And for those people who are like walk-ons, for example, to get out there and to get a chance to play and say, I have played in a Tennessee football game would potentially be mind-blowing. And they're going to show up Monday ready to do a better job on scout team. And those things factor into a program. And that's where Josh Heupel is right now, is he's built a program. And when you get to that point that you have full buy-in from not just man 1, 2, and 3, but all the way down to man, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, it's a big deal. So I think that's what this is about more than anything else for Tennessee this week, is to take care of their business and get everybody that can possibly play on the field in action if they have the chance. Now, Tennessee had one of these against Austin Peay that didn't work out that way a few years ago. And, that causes you a lot of pause. So you want to be in a situation where, because you play at the level you do, and East Tennessee State's in a different place, and I don't mean to take anything away from them, but if you take care of your business, you're going to get a lot of people the chance to play this week.
No doubt about that. We're joined by Mike Keith, voice of the Vols this morning. Mike, with that being said, I think it does start with the Vols on this one, man. And number one for me is Joey Aguilar. What was your takeaway from him? That was my first time seeing him live, along with a lot of Vol Nation, man. What did you think of his poise, his ability to make plays, and just what he can mean for this team if that was a great outlook to the start of the season he had against Syracuse?
I think, and I've said this more than one place, but it hasn't changed, his overall performance as quarterback of the University of Tennessee was A++. Mm-hmm. And that is running the show, being in charge, not taking delay of game penalties or needless timeouts, not making horrendous decisions, not, just everything he did in terms of operation was excellent. Are there better throws that he can make? Yes. Did he have a fumble? Yes. Are there things that he certainly could have done differently as far as decision making? Of course. But that's playing ball. And that's always going to be playing ball. And that's the only way to say it. When you play and you compete, not everything is going to be perfect. But the first job of the quarterback is to run the show. And he ran the show to an A++ level. He can play better. But I really loved what I saw out of him, looking like the 24-year-old that Tennessee hoped they got when he came in May. And I thought that's exactly what he looked like, steadying the ship and running the team.
No doubt about it. Well, speaking of running, the three-headed monster, man, of Star Thomas, Deshaun Bishop, Peyton Lewis, and also I'll throw in there too, Joey Aguilar, as strategic as he was with his legs, was good on last Saturday, Mike. That's got to be the case this upcoming weekend for the rest of the season. What do you think about that trio of running backs that they have right now?
I don't think you feel like the Dylan Sampson departure is a problem anymore. You're still, you still got questions on the offensive line, because while they played well, they'll face better defensive lines than they faced in Syracuse. You've still got questions about the wide receivers, because some guys need to come on. You certainly got some questions about the secondary, even though they played well, because they're down a couple of parts right now. But questions about running back, zero questions about running back. And that's to take nothing away from Dylan Sampson. It's just showing that Dylan Sampson was leading a core, and that core is still playing and still working together. And to add Star Thomas to Bishop and Lewis. And listen, I think DeJuan Morris has tremendous potential as well. And I wonder if we'll have a chance to see him play. Maybe even Justin Baker, who played special teams this week, Hunter Barnes, who's been a valuable player as a walk-on from Memphis. I don't think there's any problem in that group, and I think that should get Tennessee fans very excited. And I think one other thing too, Ramon, I'm sorry for the long answer, but good. I think the effectiveness that those guys potentially can have in the passing game can be an added facet to what Tennessee does offensively. Maybe that they didn't have as much a year ago. And to help out Joey Aguilar, that can be a big factor as well.
Voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, our guest, presented by Volunteer Traditions. Mike, the defense had a couple of great performances from two corners. One, older guy in Colton Hood, who comes in from Colorado. The other, an unproven freshman in Ty Redmond who really showed himself well. What impressed you the most about those two players, and what do you think the staff has liked about Ty Redmond specifically and how quickly he's gotten up to speed within Tim Banks' defense?
I think what you understand, and Brent Hubbs has a great piece about Ty Redmond on VolQuest.com right now. This is where you are, Will, at this point in the program in year 5, and having the same secondary coach and having the same defensive coordinator and having the same group who's running your recruiting office. Your evaluation is excellent at this point, and you know what you need. Ty Redmond was not a highly recruited player in terms of 5-star and all the camps and all of those sorts of things, but he fits exactly what Tennessee does now. And because they've done it for 5 years, they can evaluate and can identify guys who fit them perfectly. And I think that's what's exciting about having a coach in place and a staff in place and a recruiting office in place for more than 2 or 3 years, like what Tennessee was seemingly going through over and over and over again. Now they've got a program. And so you go out and you find him. Same thing with Colton Hood. You say, hey, Colton Hood works great for what we do, for what we're going to ask him to do, to play that outside corner. And I think that's developing players. I think that's identifying players. And I think that's putting players in the right position to win because, I don't know enough about football to understand this, but I've been around it long enough to hear people talk about, sometimes you go out and you get guys and they don't fit what you do and you think, oh, this guy's a bust or he's not very good. But how many times do people go to the right system and they excel? And I think these are players who have talent, players who have fearlessness, which is something that they want in this secondary. And they're both longer players. They're not small corners. They're longer players who have the ability to cover one-on-one and have no problem doing it. And I think we had a chance to see that in Atlanta from both players.
No doubt, Mike. That is fascinating. It's going to be necessary this week, too, on building some of that depth. Like you said, not to belittle what ETSU is as a team, but you do have to look at this weekend and find answers, especially on the interior defensive line. Will you play Ethan Utley a little bit more? Where's Nathan Robinson going into this game? Dominic Bailey, how that rotation is going to look like, Mike. This is the perfect setup for what next week with Georgia could be. How do you view this upcoming weekend against them? I saw the tape. They're running quick tempo. It could be somewhat challenging, especially having Cade McNamara as a quarterback, too.
Yeah, and Jacoby Criswell too can really run. He's a big quarterback that can run. McNamara is more of the thrower, but they ran for 392 in beating Murray State, and they have a lot of backs, which is impressive. They do like to go fast, which is not a surprise looking at who their staff is. And overall, I think you're going to see Tennessee try to find more depth, but I've got my eye on one guy for sure, and that's Tyree Weathersby, number 18. He had been in the program for 2 years, got a chance to play a lot on Saturday in Atlanta, and had 6 tackles, showed up big. He may start on Saturday against ETSU. These are the types of players that you've had in the program that Rodney Garner has developed, that if he takes that next step, that's a big factor because Jackson Moy's not going to play. So he's going to get a chance to play. You mentioned Ethan Utley's going to get a chance to play. Isaiah Campbell, Marion Dye, the freshman from Elkhart, Indiana. Want to see more of him this weekend. You need to identify guys who can be rotational players, not just for this week, but when you face Georgia and UAB and Mississippi State, because they want to play a dozen guys in the 4 spots, including the Leo, which is sort of the hybrid outside linebacker defensive end. They want to play that many guys. They want to do that, and you've got to prove it. You've got to prove it on the practice field, and that's where I'm headed right now. I'm headed to watch practice, and then you've got to be able to prove it when you go out on Saturday and show the technique and be able to make the plays. I mean, you think about this, and Ramon, you know this a lot better than I do. the Spillman sack, the Arion Carter sack. They came because defensive linemen did a great job taking up blockers. Now, they don't get any credit for that. There's not a stat for that. But those sacks specifically came because those linebackers had a crease to go through cleanly and get to Steve Angeli. That's what they want to see out of all their defensive linemen. Play that well, take care of business, and be in a situation where you're doing your job, handling your technique, and your responsibility. Some of those young guys should get that chance this week.
Mike, on the way out, how strong of an impression do you think freshman quarterback George McIntyre has made on this staff, and how important of an opportunity is this for not only him, but also Jake Merklinger? If you want to rest Joey Aguilar and feel like you have the chance to play some young guys, how much will this coaching staff emphasize the live game reps for the ongoing competition of who the next quarterback is?
I think it's big. I really do. George McIntyre's blown everybody away. There's no question that everybody thinks GMAC is a guy in the future who can be something very, very special. With the redshirt rules like they are in college football, this is a game that McIntyre should have a chance to play if you take care of your business. I want to see him. I want to see Merklinger. Merklinger brings that a little bit of swagger, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of emotion with him. But that competition is ongoing. Right now it's Merklinger, but who knows what's going to happen. McIntyre is, I'm a huge fan. I like what he does every single day. The only thing GMAC's got to do is get older. That's it. He's just got to get older and bigger and stronger, but he's got it. George McIntyre has it, and I can't wait to see him have a chance to play. I can't wait to see Merklinger have a chance to play as well, and you're excited about that for all of those reasons, but also because it means that you could get Joey out of the game and have him be as healthy as possible for Georgia.
Mike, I know we've talked about this with Brent Hubbs. It's been a minute since Tennessee has had a homegrown quarterback, and even beyond that, a Middle Tennessee homegrown quarterback, Mike. I mean, there's something cool about that for George, and if this is the opportunity to make his debut. I know a lot of people that know George very well are listening to us this morning and every morning here in Middle Tennessee, but it's been a minute, hasn't it?
Historically, Tennessee has not had homegrown quarterbacks. Right. That in the history, of course, Tennessee's only had quarterbacks for 61 years, because Tennessee and UCLA were the last two programs to run the single wing. And so there weren't a lot. There were some in the early 70s Chip Howard was a player from Knoxville who was a massive recruit. He didn't quite take over. David Rudder was a quarterback from Knoxville who started for a minute when Jimmy Streeter had a problem. Overall, Randy Sanders was thought to be the next guy, but Jeff Francis ended up being that. Andy Kelly is really the guy.
Yeah.
Right. He's realistically the measuring stick for the in-state quarterbacks. So, yeah, I mean, it could be a really big deal to have somebody like George McIntyre take over for a couple of different reasons. And one of the reasons I'm so excited about George is, man, he loves Tennessee. He loves being here. He's committed to the program. First of all, he's a great young man. I'm just a big fan of him personally, but he's got the right stuff about him. He's going to be just fine. Again, the only thing George needs is to get older, and most of us don't need that.
Well, Mike, I also played quarterback too. This is not the first.
Well, that's fair.
Quarterback,
I'm sorry.
kicker,
played in practice,
tackle, defensive line.
Sorry, I apologize.
He is the voice of the Vols.
I should have brought that up.
You should. I mean, look, we can't be perfect, Mike. But I do have to ask you this on the way out. Sunday after the game, you'll be watching 12 o'clock. Well, what is it? 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
For Titans, Cam Ward debut also.
I'll be glued.
There'll be glued. We had somebody who wanted to know if you'd be locked in on that, Mike. That's all it was.
Locked and loaded.
Locked and loaded.
I love it. Voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, our guest. Mike, again, y'all crushed it. Great to listen over the weekend, and enjoy practice. Appreciate the time.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
Voice the Vols, Mike Keith with us this morning. Two Rivers Ford and Volunteer Traditions bring him to you weekly here on our show and on 3HL as well. Excellent stuff.
I know. Mike. Whole time he ain't mentioned about anything at NIL and us just burning it to the ground like they are in Tuscaloosa.
You can't help yourself, Keith.
I will not help myself.